Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our stream. Today, we are talking about consolidation in workplace management software. Please ignore the boring title. My fault. This is not a boring subject. There's been lots of acquisition activity within workplace management software over the last couple of years. And basically, we're going to try and unpack some of that over the next 30 minutes. So yeah, I'll bring up some of the discussion points we're going to talk about. But while we're waiting for a few people to join, let's go through a bit of housekeeping. So of course, this is being recorded. It's up on LinkedIn straight away after we've finished the stream. So if you want to share that with your colleagues, please do. Also, you'll find the recording on YouTube. And for those that don't know, we have a YouTube channel. It's called the Smart Building Series. If you search for that on YouTube, you'll find it. And please go and subscribe there. We don't just publish the live streams there. We also do podcasts as well. So yeah, plenty of content for you guys. Okay, what else can I tell you? Yes, of course, questions. I'm happy to make it as interactive as possible. Although it's a bit difficult for me to see questions as we go through the slides. But I'm not going to talk for the whole time. So if you do want to ask some questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be able to see them, ideally on LinkedIn, if that's okay. I will also check YouTube as well towards the end. But even comments as well. If you have any comments you want to make, you want to add to the conversation, please do. We'd very much welcome that. There'll be time at the end to take those. So yeah, I guess most people will have joined now. So let's get on with what we're talking about today. So I've just put up 5 different topics that we can cover. First one, or the first 2 really, are sort of a look at some of the acquisitions that have happened, first in workplace experience and workplace management over the last 2 years. Second, same topic, the same thing, but in resource scheduling and visitor management. Third, we're going to talk about IWMS, Integrated Workplace Management Software. Then that's going to go back actually a little bit further than 2 years because there's been a very interesting trend there. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Microsoft Places because I think that's an interesting development in the market. Where that is at the moment, and potentially what its impact might be. And then just finish off with some conclusions. And that's basically it for today. And of course, a bit of a Q&A as well. So what I'm going to present today is based on some of the research that we've published. So those 2 reports there on the left are the startup reports that we published earlier this year. And that's where most of the M&A activity that we've tracked, where we can find that information. And then previously, we've also done specific market research reports on occupancy analytics within the workplace. and also workplace experience applications. So you can find all of these on our website, memory.com. Okay, workplace management and workplace experience. So between basically 2023, January and April, so about 16 months, we tracked these 6 deals. Actually, since March, there have been a couple more deals, and we can look at that on the next slide. So of these, I wanted to look specifically at Euxter's acquisition of WX, and also Hubstar's acquisition of Relogix. So Euxter is a French workplace management startup, and they acquired WX Solutions, which is actually part of the Sodexo group in 2023. And since then, Euxter and Sodexo have signed a commercial partnership agreement. So a lot of those Sodexo clients went across to Euxter. And really, sort of this acquisition has definitely helped Euxter grow. As part of that, they said that the acquisition doubled their size. I think that was an interesting deal in 2023. Second one there on the list is Hubstar. So Hubstar actually acquired Loan Rooftop in 2021, which was a Dutch company. And then they acquired Relogix in the beginning of 2024, beginning of this year. Specifically their workplace analytics platform, Connexus. And that did things like scheduling, brought in multi-sensor technologies, and they had some interesting integrations as well. Hubstar's strategy appears to be to focus on finding underperforming assets and consolidating them into an overall workplace management portfolio, and then giving it more momentum. So again, I don't think we probably there could well be more acquisitions that Hubstar is going to make in the future. Last one there is since March, since this slide that I showed before, Witco has acquired Sharing Cloud. So that happened in June. Sharing Cloud has sort of established itself as a meeting room management application. And then it also enhanced its offering with AV equipment and digital signage and visitor management. And again, I think this is an example of this kind of strategy of rolling up different companies into a broader workplace management portfolio. Witco has done this before. So, for example, they have acquired other struggling startups, for example, District Technologies. So similar to Hubstar's strategy. Okay, resource scheduling and visitor management. So again, during that similar time period, we tracked these deals in both of those technology areas. Specifically, I want to pick out sign-in solutions. So you can see there, towards the beginning of 2023, they made 2 acquisitions. They've also recently acquired another company in the UK, Smart Space PLC, Smart Space Software PLC. So Sign-In Solutions is a US-based company, and as I've said, they've been very active recently in acquiring different businesses, especially over the last 3 years. Their first acquisition was Sign-In App, and there's further acquisitions now building out their portfolio. So companies like Threat Switch, ProNesta, SRC Tracker, and 10 to 8, which we showed on the previous slide. They're backed by a growth private equity firm, PSG. So this new acquisition that they made was a UK-listed company, Smart Space Software. That was in March this year, and the deal was approximately for all of the shares 28 million, just over. SmartSpace's revenue in the year ending the 31st of January 2023 was just over £5 million. So we think that the revenue exit multiple for that deal was approximately 5.6 times revenue. So I think this consolidation again shows a couple of things. I think it shows companies building out their portfolio of different software solutions, and also this financial backing of private equity, which we haven't just seen here. There's also other examples of that in the space, and a lot of this has been accelerated by growth in hybrid working models. So I also wanted to talk about IWMS. There's a clear trend over the last few years, since 2022, of building automation vendors acquiring IWMS companies, and we've shown 4 of them here. Software for these companies is becoming more of a differentiator, especially in workplace management, and they see it as a profitable area. And I think it's pretty obvious now that there is a convergence of workplace management and IoT platforms. A lot of these companies have both, and I think they're trying to bring them together. So just to go through some of them there, you can see that Siemens in 2022 acquired US-based Brightly Software, which was a cloud-based asset and maintenance management software platform, and they paid about $1.5 billion for that company. The revenue exit multiple was 8.75 in that example. I think at the time in 2022, Brightly was expected to have revenues of around 180 million. So they did things like CMMS, strategic asset management, and IoT remote monitoring. Second one there, around a year later, was when Johnson Controls acquired FM Systems. This again, I think, is a really good example of the idea of the IWMS platform coming into a building automation provider who has an IoT platform like OpenBlue, and they paid 455 million for that company. Then following on from that, later that year, Train Technologies acquired Nuvolo, which was a cloud workplace management software provider that is built on the ServiceNow platform. And sort of bookending those 3 deals is Schneider Electric and Planon. So previously, Schneider Electric had taken a 25% stake in Planon for 113 million at that time. And then earlier this year, they've decided to take a 80% controlling stake. So, as I've said, I think clearly a big trend there for these large building automation companies to come in and make an acquisition in the workplace management space. I wanted to just mention Microsoft Places, as you might think, like kind of like £500 gorilla in the corner here. And very interesting, right? It was announced pretty much about 2 years ago now in 2022. But as far as I can tell, in terms of like wide adoption, it's still actually in preview mode, although I'm sure it's being used to some extent. There's a screenshot there of it taken from the website. And they have announced some partnerships, some very interesting ones. I think Cisco Spaces, Eptura, ServiceNow. There've been various ones, and they've put those on their website. And it's sort of like, where is it now? It will come to market, I'm sure, at some point. What this sort of Microsoft network effect might be. They definitely have, as we know, the power to move markets. So, this slide bit on the right here, Teams versus Slack. I mean, I've seen this on LinkedIn a fair few times, but just showing, how once they do launch something within their kind of enterprise ecosystem, that it can really be adopted quickly, and could certainly be the case with places. Although I think it's slightly different. I don't see that they'll slightly more nuanced. I think with places. I think one thing for me that I think is interesting is that it has the potential to make the industry coalesce around a standardized approach to workplace management. I think Microsoft have the power to do that, to bring people into their orbit. And whilst I think that they might want to own that kind of hybrid working experience, and they want to integrate it into Teams, into their video conferencing, into that whole communication piece within their enterprise for online and offline meetings, they're not going to do everything themselves. They're going to partner with a lot of companies around all of the resources and getting the data out of the building. Things like resource scheduling, workplace experience apps, visitor management, all that kind of stuff. They're not really going to get involved in that, in my opinion. But they are, they're going to do a lot of partnering and integrations with different companies. I think in terms of, the wider workplace management space, I think it's super interesting, and it will be great to see when it's released what kind of impact it's going to have. So I put up a few conclusions here from what I've shown. First one, workplace management and IoT platforms are converging. I think we saw that even before some of those acquisitions, those IWMS acquisitions I showed. I think they were bringing in things into their platform like IoT remote monitoring, and of course that's also where platforms like OpenBlue and EcoStructure, etc., and Siemens Building X, that's where they sit as well. That definitely creates a larger, more interesting platform for commercial real estate owners. Second, seeing more private equity activity. I gave the example there of Sign-In Solutions, PSG. There are, of course, other examples. Private equity are looking more at this space. Thoma Bravo with Eptura, for example, and bringing together companies to create a more a bigger offering, and hopefully having economies of scale and sharing development costs, and then taking that to market. I think that's the kind of thesis behind that, and will be interesting to see if that trend continues further. Third, I get not a surprise for everybody that this is being driven, I think, by this this big change towards hybrid working, and the different requirements of the commercial real estate landlords are having as a result of that. Last 2 points, I think, are a bit broader. I think that where some of this software sits, within operations and maintenance, it would be interesting to see how these companies are going to develop their software across the whole building life cycle, looking at design, build, and operate and maintain, and where that leads. I can see us getting to a point where, and it's certainly within the workplace, where commercial real estate landlords have the platform to be able to sell digital services to their tenants, and create new revenue streams. And these are the kind of platforms that are going to help enable that. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Let's see if we have any questions. Excuse me. Thanks. Let's just refresh this. Give me a second. All right, I've joined. All right, well, let me know. Happy to take some comments, whatever you want to talk about, or if there's, if I've missed anything out, or indeed, if you have any questions. I'll just also check YouTube, see if there's anything up there. No. Okay. Well, if you, while we have sort of a couple of minutes left, if there's anything that you think of, let me know. I think, again, as I said, some of those conclusions, I think there's a lot going on in this space. I don't think that we are sort of over that period. We talked there about some of these companies that are looking at underperforming assets, acquiring them, bringing them together. I think we haven't seen the last, that hasn't finished. I think we're going to see more of that over the next couple of years. And I think that the whole consolidation trend is continuing. There's still a lot of vendors out there. I think the competition is becoming stronger. There's companies will have had a lot of investment and are really going at the market strongly. So I think it will be, for smaller companies, it's going to be challenging to keep up with that pace of development and marketing. Question here from Adam: what have you seen as trends regarding competitive differentiators in terms of product or attractiveness as an acquisition? I think it's, and probably answer that one later. I mean, the focus of this was really on, what has the types of technology that have been acquired and looking at that. I can't say that anything particularly springs to mind about what has been attractive and what has not. I think, in some examples, of course, perhaps the price has been attractive. In some of these like rolling up deals, beyond that, I think it's for some of these companies, especially the big ones, it's about adding a new type of adding like the workplace management piece to their portfolio. I would say part of that for the bigger companies, a lot of them are sort of still, a lot of their revenue is generated from product sales within, sort of the building automation. So they are very keen on developing and getting more of their revenue from services and also software. So that's certainly attractive for them. To add on some of these software as a service companies that are extremely profitable looks very good for their investors. They've made specific, said specific things to their investors about increasing their revenue from digital services. So that's important. Anyone else with a question? No. Well, if you do think of anything, then, put it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer questions. Or, of course, you can email us anytime you want, support@memory.com. Here, a comment. Some examples of European workplace management companies are being seen as attractive to US vendors. Yeah, good point. Locketier acquired by Tango. So I think that was definitely about Tango increasing their footprint in the European market. So that's certainly something. Good stuff. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any more comments, feedback, you can put them in the chat if you want. Appreciate your time today. Thanks.